In this video, we're going to compare the Supernote A6X2 Nomad to a regular notebook. Which one's going to be better for you? A lot of people may think that digital devices are going to have more of a time limit to them and end quicker than just a piece of paper that's never going anywhere, right? Well, it's not really the case. When it comes to a notebook, longevity also means, well, how long can you keep using the same notebook before you run out of space and before now you're done. However, longevity mostly means how long are you going to be able to keep using the same notebook before you have to move on to another one. Because once it's filled up, I mean, you might reference it again, but you're never really going to write in it again. And it's just going to take up space somewhere on your desk and you're going to forget about it, probably. Whereas the Supernote, because it's digital, it's not just one notebook. It can be 30, it can be 50, it can be 60 different notebooks, all contained in the same one. You're never running out of space here. There's never a finite number of pages that you have to keep your notebooks to. And you have to confine your thoughts to a certain amount on a page. Now, I definitely am one of the people who still like to fit as much on one page as possible, because I subconsciously feel like I'm saving space that way, even though it's not really how it works. But you can still cram everything you want on one page and then just get another page, and then get another page, and all sorts of stuff like that. Where on this, no matter how much you try to cram on to a single page, you're eventually going to run out. And that's just the fact of the matter of using a paper notebook. Also, Supernote offers a 2-year warranty on their devices and a user replaceable battery, a micro SD card slot so you can upgrade your storage. All of this stuff is going to add to its longevity. And this device is probably going to last more than 2 years for most people, unless they want to upgrade to something else. So that makes this $300 that you'll be spending here make a lot more sense. Because whereas you can get a notebook for $5 or maybe even less, but you're going to have to buy 100 of them in the same amount of time that you can use this device. It just is a matter of perspective and what's more worthwhile. So in my opinion, the Supernote wins the longevity battle between these two, as it just simply is going to last you way longer. It's also going to take up much less space. Another reason I think some people don't like to go all in on a digital notebook is because they feel like it slows them down, or they can't just jump right into it. So, for example, on a paper notebook, you open it up, get the piece of paper, open the pen, now you can start writing. And there's no slowdown because this is just how it is, right? Easy. Well, I'd say, in this case, the Supernote is just as fast. There is almost no slowdown with this being digital screen, especially thanks to Supernote's auto wake case, where it's a very similar feeling. You open up the notebook cover and you just go for it. And you go down, then you open this cover, and then you go for it. So after the Supernote has been sitting idle for a few minutes, you will notice that there is a slight delay in your first stroke between when you mark it and when it actually shows up. So that might disorient a few people, but you can actually turn that off if it really bothers you. You can go to settings here and battery, and then no load shutdown. That's the option that's doing this. So if there is no activity for 20 seconds, the system will be in the no load shutdown state. In this state, if the device is woken up by pen down and the pen down speed is fast, there will be a slight delay barely noticeable in the first handwriting. So yeah, if that's really something that bothers you, you just want to make sure every time you close this, open it, you can jump right in, then just turn this off. All it's doing is just trying to save you a little bit of battery life. I find that keeping it on doesn't really bother me. I just know that the first one's going to be a little slow, but then the rest of them are super snappy. So yeah, it's to each their own, but I don't see that as a big issue. So for this category, I'm going to give it a draw because both of them, you can pretty much open the cover, grab your pen, and start writing, no matter which side you're going here. Another reason I hear people give when not wanting to move to a digital notebook is the writing feel of pen and paper or pencil and paper, because it's so familiar to us and it's something that we look for when writing on a notebook, and it's that feedback that lets us know that we're actually writing, and that tells our brain we're doing it and we're doing a good job and all this stuff. So on pen and paper, the writing feeling is of course very familiar. It's very easy to feel what you are doing and how much pressure you need to apply. And to be honest, finding the right pressure is still a little bit of a challenge in the Supernote, in my opinion. I don't always know how much pressure to apply. I remember when I first got this device, it felt like I needed to press as hard as I do on paper. The more I've used it, I actually kind of lessened the pressure that I've been putting on it. So this is me applying less pressure. And this isn't a very pressure sensitive pen. This is a monoline pen, which I find is nicest when I'm doing my regular writing. But as you can see, with applying less pressure, it still produces basically the exact same result, which just goes to show you that you don't need to apply as much pressure on this device, and it actually will help with your writing fatigue. You will feel more fatigued on pen and paper than you do on this device, at least in my experience. I think because of the textured screen that they use now and the Feel Right technology they have where the screen actually presses in a little bit, I never feel like this writing experience is so much better than the digital version. In fact, I almost prefer the Supernote's version because I can put a little less pressure on it. It has all these benefits of being digital, and I do not feel like the writing experience is worse. But for just obviously the most natural and correct feeling, I will still have to give it to the pen and paper, just because what is this device trying to mimic? It's trying to mimic this feeling. So of course the real version is gonna feel a little bit better, but I'm telling you, it's not really lost at all in this device. This device can replicate basically every part of that experience. When it comes to digital devices, something you should be cautious of and concern yourself about is its battery life. Because with a pen and paper, you don't have to worry about the battery life at all. It's not gonna die because it doesn't have a battery. It's just here. Now, obviously you could worry about whether or not your pen has ink or you have lead for your pencil, but for the different kinds of pens, there is some wear and tear on them as well. Not this hard of metal pen because it uses Supernote ceramic nibs, and those ones don't really wear down, but they can break, and that can still be a problem. But how does this device having a battery affect its performance. And this is a big downside. This is something you should be worried about. Well, again, this is off my experience, but in my experience, no. It is not even close to a problem. This device barely drains battery when it's sitting idle, and it works flawlessly pretty much whenever I need it to. I've took this thing from places at 20% battery left and come back with it having still 10% battery and everything still working flawlessly, no slowdowns, and it lasted that whole 2-hour time or whatever I was using it for. Basically, if you just plug this thing in about once a week, to let it charge for maybe a couple hours, boom, you're never gonna have to worry. And if that's a big issue to you and you just simply cannot ever spend the time to charge your device, well then yes, obviously in the battery life race, this wins because there is no battery there to drain and die. But again, this is something I'd say this device does a really good job of that, and it's not really a downside that you should consider. Lastly, what I want to go over is obviously something that this device is going to do better than this device. And that is, everything is saved in a digital space with the Supernote. Or it can be, at least. This, it cannot be. Having everything synced to my partner app on my phone is incredible. Any note I ever take, if I need to check it and I don't have this device with me, I just pull up my phone. Everyone has their phone on them nowadays. That is incredibly helpful. Or if I need to send a file to it, I use my phone. I just upload the file. Boom, it's on here. Now I can edit stuff off of here. It's super convenient to have things digitally saved. Again, if you don't want that at all, you can literally turn off Wi-Fi, turn off syncing, and everything will just stay on the device. And there is still plenty of storage to have many notebooks worth on this device. And again, you can add externals or a micro SD card worth of storage. You can add a full terabyte or whatever you want to throw in here to just make the storage just never run out. But because of it being saved in this digital space, it makes everything convenient to pull up, everything convenient to access. I never feel like I'm losing some of something or I'm losing information because I don't remember where I put that one notebook. It is just convenient, nice, and things are quick and easy to search and find what I am needing. And that's the biggest benefit, in my opinion, of the Supernote A6X2 Nomad. So for me, the Supernote is the only choice that I can really make. The benefits of it being saved and syncing to my phone and all the other devices is just way too great for me to ignore. The positives of a paper notebook are just not even close to the positives of this digital version, in my opinion at least. And for how I work, everything on here just goes so much more smoothly, and it's all in the same spot. I can search through my notes. I can find things so much easier. If I had this when I was in school, oh my goodness, that would have been amazing. Something like this would just kept me way more organized. And that's how I want to live. I want to live organized and without clutter. And unfortunately for me, paper notebooks are just clutter. If you're curious about my setup at all or the equipment I use in filming, I will have all of that linked in the description below. And if you want to support me, there's a link to buy me a digital coffee and just give me a little bit of support there so I can keep making these videos. As always, comment below with any questions or advice or scenarios that you want to try with the Supernote or you want me to try for you and to make sure that it'll actually work in your setup and that buying one of these is actually worthwhile to you. I want to make sure you can make the most informed decision as possible. That's why I'm making a variety of videos on this. Also, please check out my other videos on the Supernote, and they'll all be linked below. Thank you.